Näkömpi hemma olkkaassa.
No, I've got to leave a couple for me. Morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Everyone this morning, lovely cool morning it is. I'm going to stay here for about 2 minutes, okay? It is quite cold standing in here. No, you'll get a little bit longer out of it. Hey? Now these fellas, and before I get into too much trouble, they are all fellas, they're all boys. I'm going to come to that a bit later in the story. But these are a little bit darker than you've imagined or seen before, and the reason that is this water is very shallow, very clear, allows a lot of sunlight to get into it, and they've got themselves a suntan. They get into the deep water, get into the salt water, and they do tend to be a lot lighter in colour. Now these guys, they are incredibly lazy fish at the best of times, which has really got nothing to do with them being male. But generally, when you're fishing for them, you get to do all the hard work. You've got to get your bait, your lure, whatever you're using, and they are a live bait, Petty. You're not going to go down the river with a pilchard and do that well. That's what we've sort of tricked them into eating a bit. But yeah, you go down there, and you've got to do all the hard work. You've got to get your bait and lure close to them to entice them to have a go. Get into the cooler months, which we're starting now, June, July, August. These guys will get down to eating both here and in the river once a week, once a fortnight. Yeah, and you come along and you're trying to catch a fish that naturally is only going to eat, yeah, like I said, once maybe this week. So you do have to work reasonably hard. But these guys here, they've gathered this morning. We're going to end up with 7 or 8 fish here. They've all turned up to look at you people. That's their outing for the day. They're not all going to be hungry. I've actually got to find out who's hungry and who's not. So we'll start off. But like I said, they're incredibly lazy fish until they decide to eat. And they've really got no manners whatsoever. What they do... You get your photos? What they're not doing is they're not chewing their food, okay? They swallow their prey whole. The noise you're hearing is them swallowing about half a gallon of water and a fair bit of air in that one gulp. Now they've got to get rid of that water in air. They don't want it in the stomach. They push it straight through the gills. So just, I'll pick out this big fella here, just watch straight behind the gills this time. There you go. You can see the great surge of bubbles going straight through. And that is basically natural. I haven't been watching the star feed here or anything, so. Alright, get your cameras ready. I'm going to do some fish wrestling for you this morning. They are reputation-wise good sporting fish, good fighting fish. Find out who's keen and who's not. Alright. Look at you yelled out. Alright, a couple of things to watch for here. See how big the mouth gets. And watch them gills flare out. There he goes, he's flaring those out. Oops, sorry. Now, big fish tend to be a little bit lazy, but he did go through all the classic barrow actions. He rolled over, flared the gills out. Halfway down those gills, you've got to be fairly careful. He's got 2 razor blade edges called gill rakers. They will cut straight through about 30 or 40 pound of nylon line, which is why I'm holding him well away from me. And yeah, that's why we all use steel trace and landing nets, so do be very careful. Like I said, big fish tend to be a little bit lazier. Just want to find somebody with a bit of energy this morning, not too much. Just being a little bit lazy. This big fella here is being a bit bossy. You notice he's moving wherever I'm going, so it's making it a little bit hard for everyone else. Just stirring them up a little bit. Now, little fish, you're only a little fella. You see I'm getting a bit better fight out of this bloke. So yeah, you can sort of see lighter fish, mainly because they are young, they're fairly agile. Now I mentioned before that they're all fellas, they're all boys. I can't actually tell that by looking at each individual fish, but quite simply, nearly every barramundi is born male down the salt water. Now they are individuals, some will stay in the estuaries where they're born, some will go out in the oceans. There will be a fair percentage that will want to swim upstream as fast as they can, and Mataranka is about 300 k's from the salt. So by the time they get here, it will take them 2 wet seasons, they will be roughly legal, they grow that quick. And legal in the Northern Territory is 55 centimetres. They'll hang around about 5 or 6 years, And then some of them, not all of them, will want to go back down to the salt water. And once they get down there, some of them will change sex, change into a female, go through a spawning cycle, and then the young ones will head off again. So if we keep getting good wet seasons, we need a rise in the river of 4 or 5 metres. If we keep getting those, we'll get little fish coming up, some of the bigger fellas moving back down. These boys here, part of the percentage that chose to stay in the fresh water, we caught them in fresh water, so we're very sure that they're boys, and these guys will stay boys for the rest of their entire lives, 25 to 30 years. So, yeah. It does get a bit more confusing for them in that they don't mate, they don't have a sex life, or they don't even enjoy each other's company as such. In that the female will lay her eggs separately, we're talking about 3.5 million eggs at a time. The male will rush in, he's got about 90 seconds to get amongst her eggs and spawn, otherwise her eggs become water hard. But he'll leave it if your temperature's right, if your salinity's right, if the sun comes out and the school of catfish don't come along, then about 14 hours later you get baby parrot. So yeah, they are everything's very predatory. These guys are very cannibalistic. So if you're little and made of meat and fall in the water, yeah, you're in trouble. So yeah, half our fish in the river are only this big, and therefore part of the food chain constantly. The barramundi are their own biggest predator.